Well, the good times are rolling at Chelsea Football Club and Graham Potter. 9 matches in, 6 wins, 3 draws. And what's more, they're topping their Champions League group. By the way, Graham Potter is the 3rd English manager to do this. And of course, the last time that a Chelsea manager went 4 matches unbeaten in the Champions League, that was Roberto Di Matteo in 2012. And we know what happened there. Chelsea won the whole thing. But is it all great, or is this the similar themes to what happened with Thomas Tuchel? Luis Miguel Echegaray, LME here, and Janusz Michallik. Janusz, my friend, Chelsea looking good, but we've talked about it before. Is this just like an early buzz from an English manager, or do you expect this to continue? What do you think?
Well, I mean, the situation, I think the topic is twofold in a way, right? Because there are some similarities, but I think for Graham Potter to come in a difficult spot, no questions about that, he's done a tremendous job. When we look at this this Champions League and this group specifically, as you said, I mean, you know, Chelsea had 1 point after the first 2 matches, losing away to Zagreb and a draw against Salzburg, right? That wasn't an easy situation. 3 straight wins right now at a difficult ground in Salzburg again, and then, you know, they're already qualified, and if they win the, you know, next match, they win the group. So it isn't all that bad. Obviously, there were some questions raised, and I raised them yesterday as well. But of course, you have a little bit of time, you start thinking. You look at the lineup and you say to yourself, Christian Pulisic as a wing back, and most importantly, Raheem Sterling as a wing back. It doesn't make sense. Both of those players didn't have 1 shot on goal, right? So that's not necessarily the case. But I think the more I thought about it, is job done. And Graham Potter, at the very least, was looking for a solution. We knew that he wanted to stretch Salzburg, which to some degree he did. Even if you just look at the score, if you look at within the tactics, maybe you question, but I think they did a good job. And he was somewhat forced to it. Because obviously on the right-hand side, without Reece James, that's a big, big hole. And he's going to have to continue to look for solutions, right? With Sterling, that's not... I mean, if he needed an answer, he got it. He can't play there, but I suspect that Graham Potter knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that that's not a best position for him. And in the big matches, of course, he's going to be playing in behind Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, right? That's the idea. I think what was happening yesterday also, that he was looking towards the reunion against his own club this weekend against Brighton away, a tough match, and that's why he made a decision not to play Chilwell in that position because he's been in such a good form. And of course, even a bigger decision with Mason Mount, who's been the best player under him. He didn't start him as well, probably looking ahead, thinking to himself, you know what? We have 2 matches and we will qualify, and I'm willing to take that risk. Now, the flip side, in terms of, is it the same as Thomas Tuchel? Well, I'll tell you what, he hasn't solved that, right? I mean, in terms of attack, you look at Raheem Sterling, who was bought to score goals, maybe not to be a 30 goal scorer a season, you know, 30 goals a season, but I mean, he's got what, 4 goals right now in all match. Sterling's got 4, and Aubameyang has 3. Sterling has not scored in 9 games now, and Oba has not scored in 4. That is not encouraging by any means. So some of the same issues that Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea have had, Luis, continue.
Yeah, let's stick with that very last point you just made, specifically about the offensive firepower. I mean, they've been far from ruthless, as you have mentioned, and obviously Graham Potter likes to rotate and think about certain things. And of course, you know, you can't tell the whole story after only 9 matches. But to your point, Janusz, they're not as ruthless up top. Let me ask you this. Do you think that is it more to do with the fact, not just tactically, but the personnel simply are just not good enough? And if that's the case, is he going to be trusted in January to make that right?
Well, I think he will. He is going to be trusted, right? I think with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, it was kind of a little bit of a last moment, an opportunity that presented itself, right? Probably more so because of the situation with Barcelona than anything else. But yes, for Chelsea Football Club to be back at the level they once were, you know, winning big time competitions with this new owner that has spent so much money on this team already and is willing to spend more. When you're Chelsea, when you're Barcelona, when you're Bayern Munich, when you're Manchester City, you have to have a player in front that you can't question. Now, when you play the game, sometimes even a player like that can falter from time to time. But in terms of perception, you have to have that one player that is going to be consistent, right? At least more consistent, that you're not, if you're not scoring 4 or 5 straight games or 9 games, that's not good. Great goal scorers, when you look around the Haalands, Lewandowskis of the world, or Messis, or whoever you want to pick as the best, they score. They may go a game or 2 without, but they do score. So that is a big issue. That's something that Chelsea is gonna have to find sooner or later. I'm not saying it has to be January, but if not in January, over the summer, they have to attract the best of the best in that position.
Yeah, when you think about Chelsea and their firepower in the top 6, Chelsea 5th right now. They've only scored 16 goals in the Premier League, and that's just not good enough if you not only want to get into the Champions League once again, but also win the whole thing. Christopher Nkunku is a related story. Maybe he will come in January. But one thing is for sure, Graham Potter and Chelsea so far are happy. Will it keep going, and will they continue to rise?
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.